Mm, I will begin with expressing my joy to be here and also have the opportunity to how should I put it? Not really teach, but discuss a sutra. I want to stress that unless you have reached a certain level of the bodhisattva bhumis, the first bhumi especially, one cannot really teach sutra. This is why there is something called Shastra, which we rely on, who are actually written as a commentary by many great beings. But this time we have chosen to visit this particular sutra for many reasons. I believe that this is a very popular sutra in Korea. And this is also one of the most celebrated sutra of the Tang China. But more importantly, sutra is the source of so-called Buddhist path. If we need to ultimately refer to a sutra. So for Christians, they have Bible. For Muslims, they have Quran, for instance. So likewise, the Buddhists have sutra. But as you can see, the Buddhist sutra is not that sort of, how should I say, it's much more complicated than like the source book of Christianity or Islam. Because Buddha have so many sutras. For instance, myself, I study under the Tibetan tradition. And in the Tibetan tradition, we have more than 100 volumes of the sutras. Now, I believe that there are many other that are not translated into Tibetan language, which exists in China and probably even in Korea. Now, these hundreds and hundreds of sutras, they are not a repetition. They are not like kind of similar thing in 100 volumes. If you pick one sutra, read it, and then next time you pick randomly from another sutra, you will find totally a contradiction. Just now, you guys were following the Heart Sutra. In that Heart Sutra, Buddha taught basically shunyata, nothing exists. Nothing, including the enlightenment. Now, in this sutra that we are about to discuss, here Buddha mentions a mantra or a dharani, which you can recite 21 times and blow it on a rabbit's stool and throw it on 10 directions and you get protections. If you are reading something like a Heart Sutra or Vajracchedika Sutra, you will find it as the most was deconstructing. Very, very, you can, some of you may even think it's very nihilist. It's not, definitely not even a religion, the Heart Sutra. So when you read sutras like Vajracchedika Sutra or Heart Sutra, you can ask this question, is Buddhism religion? Don't think so. But if you read this sutra, where Buddha taught mantras and dharanis, that you can blow it on a glass of water and then drink it or throw it, and then that heals this, heals that, takes care of this. I mean, forget religion, it's almost like a shamanistic. So, this is why it's also very confusing when you visit Buddhist countries, for instance. It's very confusing that everybody is sort of doing different things. If a Tibetan Buddhist go to Burma or Sri Lanka and they see a monk smoking, the Tibetan Buddhist will go crazy thinking, what is this guy doing? He's a Buddhist, he's smoking. It's really bad for prana. That, Theravadins don't give a damn about what prana is. If a Burmese monk observe a Chinese monk going so fussy about vegetarian or non-vegetarian, they will think, this is strange. Because Buddha told the monks, go and beg alms, beg food, never store, beg. And when you beg, whatever is given, you accept. So it's very confusing. Sometimes you see Buddhist monks and nuns who diligently shave their hair, as if hair is the main obstacle for enlightenment. If you go to see a Tibetan yogi, they will keep the hair. They cannot cut. It's not allowed. So they keep hair for a long time, not just years, for so many, many years. Also, if you look at the Buddha's own disciple, we venerate figures like Shariputra, serene, monk, shaved head, begging bowl, bare feet, begging food. We venerate them. We venerate him, Ananda, Shariputra. But also, we venerate people like Avalokiteshvara. Earrings, gold rings, bracelets. He's very rich. He has a lot of diamond rings. And then, even more strange, if you go to Tantra, we also venerate Mahasiddhas, who some of the Mahasiddhas have taken a vow never to tell the truth. All they do is lie, no matter what. Small questions, big questions, all they do is lie. So it's not really like Bible or Quran, where there is a very clear, as a Muslim, as a Christian, you do this, this, this. Like you don't eat pork, stuff like that. It's much more complicated. Okay. The question is, why Buddha made it so complicated? Why can't he just say one thing so that everybody is so clear and follow that? There's two answers for this. One is, actually, there's only one truth that Buddha wants to teach. The other answer is, the sentient beings, the listeners, have different capacities, different backgrounds, different emotions. We don't know. What is good for one is not good for all. Let's see who was listening for this sutra. See, there was Nagas. There was yakshasas. They are like really like demons. There were ghosts. And then there were Garudas. And there was many others, aliens, so to speak. And then, more interestingly, there were also the bodhisattvas, bodhisattvas and the mahasattvas, big, accomplished ones, arhats. This is a very important point of the sutra. Even for something so simple like food, there are Koreans who wishes to have only kimchi, maybe. You understand? You can't force them to eat tsampa, the Tibetan tsampa. You can't. If you force Korean to eat tsampa, after about 50 years, Koreans will somehow manage to make the tsampa taste like and looks like kimchi. So it's important that different audience, different, teachings need to be taught for different capacities, different audience. That's one angle to look at it. The other angle, even more interesting angle, is they are going to hear it a different way anyway. Who knows what kind of ear some of these ghosts have? It's a bit like, does a fly understand the difference between, the taste difference between honey and a shit? Do they have such thing? We have 5 or 6 senses, you and I. Some of these audience, they have 1 sense. And others have 100 senses, which we don't know what they are. We only know 6. For instance, it's believed that the bodhisattva of the first Bhumi can taste food with eyes. Wow. With your eyes. Or see visions through ears. So, again here. So, different people hear different things. And this is also again important for you to notice, because Sutra actually begins with Ananda saying, "Thus have I heard." And this statement, "Thus have I heard," is so important statement. Not only it exhibits Ananda's humility, he's also saying, I have heard this. I don't know whether Buddha taught this. Now, there you can raise an issue. Hey, so are you saying that you heard this? Probably Buddha never said this? You could dispute this. Ananda takes care of this problem very well with other reasons. For instance, first, he talks about the place. I have heard this at this place, with these people, at this time. Building his case, basically. In this sutra's case, at a place called Patala. And he had many other witnesses, the bodhisattvas, mahasattvas, buddhas, ghosts, nagas, asuras. Okay. I want to, again, draw your attention that sutra is vast and deep. And there are so many sutras, and they all say different things. So now, as a follower of the Buddha, we need to somehow make our own way, our own path. How do we do that? How should we choose one, let's say? For instance, someone who is very intellectual, someone who is very critical about God and about blind belief and all of that, he or she may get put off by this sutra. Again, someone who is much more emotional, much more sort of, feeling oriented, If he or she reads something like Heart Sutra, they could get put off. So how do we now construct our path? So this is where I need to tell you about very important elements that distinguishes the Buddha's teaching. Okay. I'll try to put it in a very sort of simple way so that the people who are very new to Buddha Dharma here will have some sense. Fundamentally, it's important that we know that the sole reason why Buddha taught is not because he wanted to exhibit his knowledge, but it is because of his compassion. So because of that, when he taught in two ways. Let's say, this is just so that we can understand. There are certain teachings he taught, quite a lot of it actually. He taught, he did not really mean it, but he taught. I don't know, don't want to say that he lied, but he didn't mean it. I have been calling this Cinderella teachings. Then there are teachings he taught, he really meant it. Now, there are few sutras that are sort of borderline. They are like a bridge between Cinderella and the real teachings. The reason why I call this Cinderella is because when the mother wants to put the baby to sleep, you tell this Cinderella stories. Mother knows there is no such thing as Cinderella. But for now, the baby needs to sleep. If the baby is not sleeping, baby will get sick. And it could really lead to a big problem. So anything to put him to sleep. Lot of teachings like that in the sutras. Now, this is important, You should not look down at these teachings. Those are Cinderella teachings. You cannot. Because we will not be able to get rid of this babyness for a long time. And as long as we have that babyness, we will need a lot of Cinderella teachings. And this is one part of this is also Cinderella. I'm crossing a very dangerous territory now. If you tell Pure Land school people, the concept of Pure Land is actually a Cinderella. They will get angry. They will beat me up. But I do not, when I use the word, it's a Cinderella, it's not a derogatory term. For me, it is a praise. For me, Pure Land school Buddhism will benefit more people because there are more babies. Who would like to read Heart Sutra? No nose, no eye, no tongue, no this, no that, no that. What is this? It doesn't do anything. But even the Amitabha Sutra, like a Pure Land school, actually it has a lot of non-Cinderella teachings. But the dosage of the non-Cinderella aspect is kind of little. How do you call, in Korea, how do you refer to Amitabha? Amitabha, what does that mean?
It means Amitabha.
Right?
Amitabha Buddha.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, Amitabha in Sanskrit means boundless light. Now, there, the name Amitabha, boundless, measureless, is this dosage of direct non-Cinderella teaching. So the name of the Buddha himself is actually direct. But we don't want to talk about it too much because the babies don't understand this. Because you don't want to give a baby a well-done, steak. Better to give baby mashed potato or something like that. Something more easy to chew. Okay, so you got it now? There are two kinds of teachings. One is where Buddha really did not mean this way, but for the sake of bringing the people into the more profound path, he taught this and that. And then there are other teachings that are non-Cinderella, such as Vajracchedika Sutra, Heart Sutra, straight. No dressing, no, side dishes. Well, if you take it that, you take it that way. You know, it's basically, it's raw. It's raw. I would say, as a quantity, there's probably more Cinderella teachings. Obvious reason. If you're asking me personally, what do I prefer? It's a bit like this. My head prefers non-Cinderella, but my heart will just fall for the Cinderella. It's like this. My head, studying Madhyamika for many, many years, I don't, at least on an intellectual level, I don't like any religion that has a, extreme view. I don't believe in God. I don't believe Buddha is a creator. I don't believe that enlightenment truly exists. So all this deconstruction, I appreciate. But my emotion, because that's only on the head, on the intellectual level. Emotion is very important, because on the day-to-day time, you work with emotion. The reason is because there's something called habit. And I have to work with my habit. So, I haven't read this sutra for a long time, probably 30 years. And as a preparation for this, I was reading it, and it's so inspiring. As soon as and I'm very much looking for, if the opportunity allows, I'm very much looking forward to do all the things that is, prescribed here, such as, getting 7 stools of rabbit. Although purpose is, that you are supposed to chant this mantra and blow it on 7, like the rabbit's stool. Stool is like shit, basically.
여러분들 이제
You
경전을
call it
보시면
rabbit stool? What do you call it? Those like a roundish thing. Yeah. You are supposed to do that if you have a problem with zombies.
예,
You understand? See, I want to talk about zombies. Do you believe in zombies? There are certain problems that we don't have it anymore. I don't think the zombie problems is very prominent. There is not so much of a case like you dial 911 because there's a, zombie problem. This is supposedly latest iPhone. In about 100 years, this will be in the museum. And our great-great-grandchildren will laugh at this and, in the past, what a clunky thing they are using. So that's why when I mention about zombie, you are laughing at it. Because it used to be a problem which does not exist now. But let's say one of us, we get rewinded to the past, okay? And then look back to the present day. I think you will think, oh, this is a room full of zombies. We are like zombies. Most of the time we have no direction. Most of the time, if we are hungry enough, we will eat someone else. So, therefore, this mantra is as relevant today as it used to be. I'm going to get a rabbit, shit, not the rabbit, and I'm going to blow on it, and then as I travel around the world, I will throw it, especially in the crowded place. Also, accepting I myself like a zombie. Is it in the Korean translation, the
Yes,
zombie bit?
Yes, I think
Yeah,
so.
zombie. Yeah. I'm trying to. The reason why I'm telling you this zombie bit is important because I don't want you to think this is an outdated. You just need to understand things in context. There are certain things, because due to the time, due to the situation, due to the environment, we don't understand a lot of things. And zombie, I guess, for most of you right now, yeah, especially you younger generations, your reference to zombie is probably some Hollywood production. I think the word rolang in Tibetan, the rolang has the connotation of basically half dead. If we have time to talk about it like tomorrow, we will talk about a little bit about half dead. Did you have a coffee this morning? If you had a coffee, for instance, did you, when you were sipping the coffee, did you know that you were having coffee? I bet most of you are thinking about something else while the coffee is slowly going down. See, proved that you're half dead. Do you know that you have been sitting there? I'm sure not until I mention you. So on and so forth. So the lack of awareness makes us half dead. Before we will take a short break. And before the short break, to make the morning session worthwhile, I'm going to recite the Dharani once. And this is me being selfish. Because in the Sutra says, if you read this aloud and make people hear this, you will have a lot of merit. So I really want to accumulate some merit. Namo Renataya Namarya Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattvaya Mahasattvaya Mahakarunikaya Tatyatha Om Sarva Bhendana Chetanakaraya Sarva Papa Sammuto Chana Shakaraya Sarva Bidaya Tachmanaskarana Sarva Biduya Bata Bika Nashana Karaya Sarva Baheshu Taranakara Tasaya Nama Sangreda Idam Arya Avalokiteshvara Tava Lite Karana Mapara Mahriddaya Maparata Yishame Saravata Sadana Shubha Chetanam Sarvabidanam Sarvapapa Mingalam Tadyata Aloke Gadivate Loka Patike Ye Mahabodhisattva He Bodhisattva He Mahabodhisattva He Praya Bodhisattva He Mahakarunikaya Mahasamara Rindaya Ye Yarvalokiteshvara Parama Hridaya Karakum Guru Karma Sadaya Bidaya Nadidimaya Mikaranama Gamaba Bihangama Sida Yogini Shora Duhu Bidana Mahabidana Dara Darenda Shora Batala Bina Murti Arya Varukshoraya Zina Diria Zana Mukuta Alam Didana Nishara Landambara Mahasidana Bidara Bala Mala Mahabala Chala Mahatala Krishna Paya Krishna Paya Nidana Hive Hepe Mahasataya Chara Nishan Krishna Savadita Nayobajana Ehaye Mahabara Katamukara Burata Ni Chodana Yanavaru Baga Bijadana Hininalachana Heaye Mahala Hala Bishane Zotaloka Saya Raga Bisha Bidana Desha Vada Mohana Muhabisha Bina Shanam Nirmo Chaya Hula Muhura Hula Hala Hare Mahapendani Sara Siri Suru Budaya Bodaya Mitala Negana Ea Bilagara Hea Ma Bi Sadamaha Singamugana Hasa Munza Mao Ea Popo Mahasindani Ko Sharadana Bat Sadanaya Bidaya Samara He Baravana Logata Bilokatanam Tathagatanam Dadahi Me Dada Chona Kama Sandara Tasana Mana Sidaya Soha Mahasidaya Soha Sidayo Giri Choyas Nila Kama Midaya Soha Baharana Mukaya Sama Barana Mukaya Soha Narasinga Mukana Soha Maharana Singa Muka Soha Habenzanaya Soha Mahabenza Hasaya Soha Sidana Binza Mahasidaya Bia Darazana Bema Hastaya Mahabema Hastaya Soha Krishna Savatitaya Bichunana Bitaya Swa Mala Mukuta Daraya Swa Charaya Jutara Saya Shamkaya Chandani Darakaraya Swa Bitunakaraya Swa Bhamakandi Chandaranjinaya Swa Bhamahasaya Bhamagadin Binasaya Swa Lokeshwara Swa Mahalokeshwara Swa Swa Singeshwara Swa Raja Raja Mamsa Guru Guru Rajamasa Nama Bhagavati Arya Avalokiteshvara Parasati Mahasati Mahakarunikaya Siddhayantu Me Prabhadani Soha. Okay, we will take a break. After the break, what we will discuss is about Dharani, the meaning of the Dharani, and then also the character or the essence of this long Dharani. So, we are going to talk about a term. Dharani is translated as zoom in Tibetan. Zoom. The Sanskrit word dhara means hold. Right? Vajra, dhara, the holder of Vajra. iPhone dhara. iPhone dhara. Instead holding. But the word dhara and zoom actually has a much more powerful connotation. It has the power of, the fishing hook, hooks the fish mouth, and then once it hooks, and once it's holding, then it can't, it's difficult to let go. It won't let go, it won't let go. It's that kind of connotation. So tell me something in Korean equivalent to that. We should involve. How would you say it? Something short and powerful, tell me. How would you say it, Tony, in English? Something more powerful than hold. Clutch. Cling. Cling. Yes, cling is good. Also, how would you say it in Korean? How would you say hold, like a fish hook? Colling. Curling. What? Curling. How would you say in Chinese? Since there are some Chinese here. How would you say Chinese?
Go to. Go to.
Go.
Yeah, go to.
Curling. Another creation. Lucky.
Laju.
Lucky. What? We use that term when we like catch fish. Catch fish, yeah. Lucky. Okay. Okay. So, Dharani, what I just read before the break, is knocking. Okay. What is being held? Now, this is a big subject. Our body, our speech, and especially our mind is wandering, floating, aimless, and no control, out of control. You understand? I don't need to prove this. You know this. Yeah. Now, the sole purpose of Buddhism. Okay, if you ask, what is why become Buddhist? What's the purpose of being Buddhist? To be awakened. That's it. I don't want to give these very exotic names like enlightenment, nirvana. Sometimes they just, they end up distracting us. Awakened is what the Buddhists want. To be awakened from what? From the delusion. And why do we have the delusion? Because we are floating, wandering, out of control. Not even for one moment, knocking is happening. It's going everywhere. It's going everywhere. You understand? So, in order to be awakened, we need to get rid of the delusion. In order to get rid of the delusion, we need to catch, hold one that is wandering. Now, actually, in Buddha Dharma, all the methods are to hold. Like the method of sitting straight is also a method to contain, restrain, hold. Oh, and thinking about, like impermanence, death, and dying is also a method to hold you so that you will not be distracted. Okay? Now, but like sitting straight, method like sitting straight, we don't call it dharani. Even though the method of sitting straight does the job of holding. Dharani, the name is usually given to a collection of mantras. Usually it's a longer form. And remember, just before the toilet break, I read this. Did you notice when I was reading, my mouth was busy reading this? Did you notice that? And I wasn't also Facebook browsing. My mouth was hold it by this. You understand? So already some sort of a holding, I forgot now, nakim, is happening. Okay? That's one angle. The other angle, dharanis. Okay. I could be reading New York Times and I am nakim with New York Times. So you could ask, what's the difference? Now, this dharani, unlike New York Times or a Playboy magazine, this dharani is specially constructed and designed and put together. Okay? And more importantly, this dharani was, after putting it together, the Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara aspired for countless of eons that this dharani will hold the wandering sentient beings. And due to his power of his aspiration, that's a really, really important one. No founder of New York Times or of Playboy magazines have prayed and aspired that in the future, when the sentient beings read Playboy magazines, it will, hold their mind and lead to the enlightenment. Now, I can already feel some of you skeptics think, so are we supposed to believe in this sort of magical power of Avalokiteshvara who prayed that this dharani will hold you and therefore it will hold you? I'm saying yes. And there's nothing, what do you call it? There's nothing supernatural or unreal or non-scientific about it. I will tell you, I will give you the example. My example is inside my bag. It's called karmic link. If you have a karmic link, then a certain phrases, languages, stories, whatever can create that powerful link. Okay? I don't want to call it karmic link. I want to call it karmic debt. The same thing. One is more negative. I have karmic debt with Mr. Murakami. And I've been reading this completely. I'm so tired of going here, there, but I can't stop. I'm on the third book. And there's nothing profound in it. Sometimes 20 pages, somebody's making sandwich. That's it. And I still, every word I don't miss, I read. I'm karmically in debt with Mr. Murakami, whom I have never met. And there's this strange story. This is, have you read this? IQ 84? It's a strange story.
진짜
Even as you read, you know it's not happening, but you still read. So, me, I have a karmic debt to Murakami to waste my time. I don't have a karmic link to the Avalokiteshvara to really read this and really benefit sentient beings, which I need to change. Now, I have a feeling that some of you will buy this book and read it, and I'm already, I'm already creating a more, karmic debt now. Okay, so dharani, purpose of dharani is to hold your wandering, distracted mind and make it something, make to really hold the wandering mind so that wandering mind will really exhibit or manifest its real and full potential, which is the Buddha nature. Okay. Now, I'm going to tell you the essential meaning of the dharani. But before I do that, I want to quickly go through the setup of this dharani. So, Buddha was in a place called Potala, which is actually a mansion of Avalokiteshvara. Just as in the Heart Sutra, again, many of these sutras always get triggered by one of the members who happened to be there near the Buddha. Okay, as Buddha was there Buddha was there in the Potala palace. Buddha had this wish to expound the great dharani. The great dharani. Okay, that was his wish. And now he creates the situation. All the Buddhas, many many bodhisattvas, many rakshasas, yakshasas, the arhats, they all gathered. As they're all there, Avalokiteshvara decided to emanate rays of light and fill the 3,000 world with a golden color light. And the light was so powerful that it even outshined the light source such as the sun and the moon. And the palaces in the heaven, they shook. Mountains and rivers shook. At that time, another bodhisattva was curious why this is happening. He stood up and then asked the Buddha, I have never experienced this before. What is happening now? And Buddha said, among us, there is a bodhisattva called Avalokiteshvara. Among many, many qualities, he has achieved the quality of Dharanis. It is this bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara. He is doing these. Therefore, let's ask Avalokiteshvara
그래서 그때
to explain what is he doing. Just as the Buddha wished, Avalokiteshvara stood up and said, I have a dharani that can heal the ailment, our outer, inner, and the secret ailment of many, many sentient beings. Protect them from many, many fear and calamities. And then Buddha asked, do you remember how it started? And then Avalokiteshvara replied, saying that yes, many, many eons before, there came a Tathagata, or the Buddha, whose name is King of Thousand Lights. I think we are talking about Amitabha here. This Buddha taught me, and after teaching this Buddha put his hand on my head and blessed me. And at that time, I was in the Bodhisattva, the first Bhumi stage. Due to the blessing of this Tathagata, I elevated myself to the 8th Bhumi instantly. And I was so...
it's Korean term is a little different. Can I explain?
Yeah. And I was overjoyed. And because of my joy, I aspired in infinite aspiration. And then there's a long list of Avalokiteshvara's aspiration. May I have 1,000 arms, 1,000 eyes. And we will, if the time allows, we will also talk about this aspect of 1,000 arms and 1,000 eyes and all that. May I become a boat that will be that will take the samsaric beings to the other shore. May I be the source of inspiration for many sentient beings so that they can cross the high mountain of enlightenment.
그리고
So they can reach, actually. I'm just going through. May I be the source of inspiration so that when the sentient beings climb the mountain of weapons, upon reaching on the top of the mountain of weapons, all the weapons will dissolve. So on and so forth. So a long list of his aspiration. And then, as requested by the Buddha and the gathering there, Avalokiteshvara did shared or expound the dharani that I read this morning. And then, after the dharani was recited, the Brahma, the Lord of the three worlds, was so impressed with the dharani. And then Brahma said, I'm so impressed with this dharani. I have heard so many dharanis in the past, but never like this one. I really want to know this. Tell me the essence of this dharani. Okay. Everything what I have been telling you is Cinderella. Now we are beginning the non-Cinderella. When you read the Buddhist sutras, it's always like that. Almost always. If you read Vajrachedika Sutra, for instance, one of the most deconstructive sutra, nothing exists, remember? Buddha said, to Subhuti, Buddha never taught. There is no such
내가
thing.
가르친 적이 없다.
No form. There is no such thing as Buddha's form. There is no such thing as Buddha. But if you remember, some of you, those who have read the Vajrachedika Sutra, the beginning part, there is a whole description of how Buddha folded his, robes and the begging bowl, how he placed it and all of that. All that description And this, by the way, for those who are following Buddhist studies seriously, I like to tell you, this is probably one of the most distinctive beauty of Buddha Dharma. While you tell the truth, you never negate the lies. While you talk about emptiness, you don't negate clarity, the appearance. This is why you can go to a monastery anywhere in the world. In the Buddhist monasteries, they will go crazy about the details of where the flowers should be, where the incense, how to burn the incense, all that religious like. At the same time, in the afternoon, in that same monastery, you could be hearing Shunyata teachings. Who cares about the flowers? Who cares about the incense? Where is flower? There is no such thing as flower. This, union of this appearance and the Shunyata, always never divorced, never separated. This is the unique quality of Buddha's path. Okay, so now Brahma asks, what is the essence of this dharani? Avalokiteshvara gave, Nyingji chenpu samin, nyambi samin, dumaji samin, ngambar shemba mebi samin, tongpa niruta samin, gyubi samin, dambi samin, dreba mebi samin, lana mebi chanchu samin yente. Nine elements of the essence of this dharani. First of the 9 is that this dharani is the great compassion. I think we need a little bit of energy to talk about it, so we will talk about this after lunch. For now, okay. What is compassion in Korean language? Language is so important, so important. What is compassion? How do you translate the word?
Mostly in the Buddhist context, we say chabi. Chabi.
What does that mean?
Compassion.
No, but because I think the English word compassion is not good.
Well,
it's really not good. But we are so used to it, so we have to say this. I will explain to you after the lunch why word compassion is not good. Mm-hmm. Because so-called compassion, when we talk about so-called, let's talk about it later. But it's basic. Okay, one of the Tibetan word is ning je, je means supreme, sovereign. It's like Ning is also heart, but it's also mind. The sovereign mind, great mind. It's like the supreme mind, the king of all the mind. So does that Korean language have that connotation? Chabi?
It's actually a Chinese word, chabi. It's pronounced in Korean, but we can write it in Chinese character. It's the same as what's compassion?
What is compassion in Chinese?
Zibei.
Jibei. What does that mean? What is ji? What is bei? Jambada nyingji nyamdo. Love and compassion too. Okay. Okay.
Well, I'll translate this.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyway, before you go to lunch, I will just to stir your mind, I will tell you this. Being politically correct is not compassion. Feeling guilty is not compassion. Being non-violent is not compassion. Can you underline that? Being not violent is not compassion. Yes. I just give you that so that you can really think about it. Oh, one more. Sympathy is not compassion. Okay? Have a good lunch.